This morning, Carson James had posted a video on Facebook sharing a story on how he had had a lady send him an email asking how to get her horse more light and responsive in the stop because he wasn't stopping very good. Every single time that she pulls on the reins, this horse braces against the bit and tosses its head in the air. And so she was asking for advice on how to get him better at the stop. And so Carson always asks people, have you seen my videos on my website, buckaroocrew.com? He's got all sorts of categories and things like that to resolve different problems. And so he has a whole category on that. And he asked if she'd seen those videos and done those exercises. And she had said, yes, I watched all of the videos. I did all of the exercises and none of them worked. Now, Carson goes on to say in this video, the exercises don't work with your horses. It is your job as the rider to make those exercises work for your horse. An exercise in and of itself is not going to magically fix your horse. It is you as the rider who's going to utilize that exercise to fix your horse. The exercise itself doesn't fix it, but you do. Now, I kind of wanted to piggyback off of this video of Carson's and add my 2 cents worth when it comes to this, because a lot of clinicians and a lot of trainers see this quite frequently. We give our clients exercises to work on and improve their horses, and they come back and say that these exercises are not working. Their horse is not improving. And so therefore, they think that it is the exercise that isn't working, but in reality, it is the rider themselves not utilizing the exercise correctly in order to make the exercise work and improve your horse. The biggest mistake that I see a majority of people make when it comes to doing an exercise with their horse is they are so caught up on the exercise itself and completion of it, they're completely missing the point of an exercise and what they are meant to be used for. An exercise is not meant to fix your horse. An exercise is meant to help you identify problems within that horse, where there's brace, where there's tension, where there's lack of understanding, where there's miscommunication, where there's lack of fluidity of motion, and all of those things. And the exercise is to help you work through those things to improve your horse. So it's not the completion of the exercise. The exercise is to identify problems, not to fix them. A really good example of people misunderstanding an exercise is when I give the most common exercise that I give to a majority of my clients, and that is squaring off your turns. Now, when I say squaring off your turns, it does not mean quicker or tighter turns. It means an actual corner, an L shape to square off your turns. So a lot of people starting out will pull their horse around trying to make a quicker and a tighter turn, thinking that they're squaring it off. But that is not it. When you pull your horse around and hollow them out, they're going to fling that hind end out and around, and they're going to make a U shape. And it's still a U shape, no matter how tight and how quick it is still a U shape. What I mean by squaring off your turns is by slightly tipping that horse's nose in to the inside, and then using your outside leg and your outside rein to encourage that horse to lift their shoulders up and complete the turn by moving their shoulders over, making a squared off corner, an L shape with that turn, not a U shape. So a majority of people that I give this exercise to, they think one of two things. One, they think what I already described, quicker and tighter. And it doesn't matter how quick and how tight you pull that horse around, a U shape will always be a U shape, no matter if it's this big or if it's this big. A U will always be a U shape. You are looking for a squared off corner. The other thing that they hear is square. So they go out there and make squares with their horses, and they just think about execution and completion of a square. Now, the point of this exercise, when I give this to people, is not to complete a perfect square. In the end, like I said, yes, we want to be able to complete a perfect square, but The point of this exercise is because I've already identified tension and brace in the horse's shoulders, and they are not soft and free moving with those shoulders. So the point of this exercise is to encourage this horse to have freedom of motion in the shoulders and reach and be able to move them freely and fluidly without tension, without brace, while being light and responsive throughout the turn. So when you go out to use this exercise with your horse, don't focus on making a perfect square. In fact, forget about a square entirely, because the purpose of this exercise is to identify the brace in your horse and then utilize the exercise to promote freedom of movement, fluidity, softness, and responsiveness in your horse. So you may go out there and you may make a 20-degree turn. You may make 180. It doesn't matter. When you go to ask that horse to square off their turn and move with their shoulders, if that horse goes to square off their turn and then they kick their hind end out, you're going to back them up, ask them to engage their hind end and move the shoulders again. And if that entire time they're moving their shoulders, they're doing this and their shoulders are locked, you're just going to keep asking them to go until finally that horse goes, and then you go, all right, let's walk on. That is the point. Utilize the squaring off the turns to promote that fluidity of motion, that freedom of movement, that softness and responsiveness in your horse. Because if you go out there with the mindset of, I'm just going to do squares, you can do 8 trillion squares. But if you never promote your horse to have softness, responsiveness, freedom of movement, or fluidity of motion, those 8 million squares are never going to fix the tension in your horse's shoulders. If every time you go and make a corner, that horse is like, you can do 8 million of those, but if you never work with that horse of go, okay, they're turning like this, keep turning, keep turning, keep turning, okay, walk forward. If you never utilize the exercise to work through the problems, to identify and then work through those problems, the execution of that exercise is never going to fix that horse. It is your job as a rider to fix the horse. The exercise identifies the problems. You fix them, you work through them, and then the exercise becomes fluid. It becomes free moving. The horse is light and responsive through it because you've worked through all of that tension and all of that brace. So start thinking of an exercise this way. So let's say that you get in your car and you go to drive somewhere and you notice that when you step on the gas, it's just not performing the way that it used to. Like maybe it's taking forever and kind of lagging getting up to speed. Or maybe when you press on the gas to get up and go, it's like, and then gets going. Maybe it's taking forever to shift. Like it's still driving and performing, but it's not performing super well. So you take it to a mechanic going, hey, there's something wrong. You tell them what's going on with the car. What your mechanic's going to do is they're going to plug in this little device called an OBD scanner, I believe is what it's called. I don't know cars. I don't know mechanics. I'm throwing stuff out there, by the way. What this little scanner is going to do is it's going to, as the car runs, it's going to run codes. And those codes are going to tell the mechanic exactly what is wrong with your car. It's going to say, hey, the fuel pump's going out. Hey, the coil pack is dead. Hey, the fuel injectors aren't working. And so the mechanic's going to know exactly what they need to fix just by plugging in this little device and saying, hey, it's just your fuel injector. That's X amount of money, super easy fix. Instead of the mechanic going in and just replacing parts willy-nilly and guessing, they have this little scanner that tells them exactly what they need to know about your car and what parts of your car aren't performing and what parts need to be replaced and fixed. The OBD scanner doesn't fix the car. The mechanic does. The OBD scanner just identifies what is not performing within the car and tells the mechanic what needs work and what needs fixed. That is your exercises. You can plug an OBD scanner into your car 8 trillion times and it's not going to fix the problem unless a mechanic goes in there and replaces the fuel injector that's not performing. You are the mechanic. Your exercises are your OBD scanner. Your exercises tell you and identify the problems that your horse is having, and it is your job to go in and fix those problems. You can't plug in an OBD scanner and do exercises 8 trillion times and expect it to fix the problems unless you put the work in and fix what needs to be fixed.